Already, people around here are treating the place like a holiday camp.
The week's gone. Tragically, Laggy was having a little kip on the sofa earlier today. He's made himself very much at home. All this week, we'll be looking at the history of the holiday, and tonight, John Sargent travels back to its beginnings in Victorian times.
Beaches like this used to be, well, just a beach. But in Victorian times, a beach like this one at Eastbourne became a fashionable resort. The great British holiday boom was underway.
The first seaside resort in the UK was established in the small town of Scarborough in the 17th century, 200 years before Victoria came to the throne. The upper classes flocked to this small coastal town, and the seaside holiday was born. By the 1800s, the idea became so popular that the upper and middle classes began to take regular breaks in other coastal towns throughout the UK. But Victorian modesty called for Victorian ingenuity.
In the old days, if you wanted to swim, you had to have one of these. Isn't it amazing? A bathing machine. Now, Andrew has meticulously restored this Victorian bathing machine. But why should anyone want to have this just to go for a swim?
Well, it was a modesty issue. Ladies had to wear dresses from neck to ankle, and they wanted to change in private. There was no public changing on the beaches at all in those days.
So they wouldn't be in bikinis?
Definitely not.
Right, so it's all to do with trying not to look too saucy on the beach.
Exactly.
Well, now we've got two volunteers, and you're going to show us how this bathing machine works, aren't you?
Yes. We're from Eastbourne Swimming Club, and we do this each year for the Victorian week.
While our Victorian volunteers get changed, I'm intrigued by a design feature.
Right, now these holes, what are they for?
They're peepholes, so the ladies could see out, but nobody could see them inside the bathing machine.
Right, we can't sort of just look in there. Now, how long did this last? It's ridiculous.
Well, this was built in 1820,
Yeah.
and we know that people bathed from bathing machines until the First World War.
Good heavens. And the war finished it off because women started to dress differently.
After the First World War, things changed dramatically, and one of the casualties was bathing machines.
So, how would they get this into the water?
The horse would be attached to the front and would pull the bathing machine with the ladies in it down to the water's edge.
Okay, now look, should we get up the ladies out? I'm sure they're raring to go. Make the special signal. How wonderful, you look terrific. Right, okay, now we'll help you down the steps. Volunteer 2, now you're in the water, and what's happened then? Let's just explain this bit.
Well, the ladies are in the water now, and they would do whatever they wished to do in the water for as long as they liked. And then when they'd finished, they would go back up into the bathing machine, and the horse would pull them back up to high level on the beach.
Right, well, off you go. You're going to go swimming.
Okay.
To begin with, trips to the seaside remained the preserve of the upper and middle classes. But halfway through the 19th century, the new railways were allowing millions the chance of a day trip to the seaside. And one of the first routes was the London to Brighton main line, opened in 1841.
It was the railways that really made places like Brighton.
I think the railway is the critical 19th century invention that totally changes Brighton from a select, upper class, posh resort to one that was increasingly middle class and then later on working class. So bear in mind that the beach was free and people enjoyed the beach. They would come down by train, walk down from the station and stay for perhaps 8 hours on the beach.
And when people got here, what did they do? Did they sunbathe? Did they swim? What were they up to?
Well, sunbathing was very much a 20th century pastime. Upper class people wanted to keep out of the sun. Bear in mind, a brown skin was a sign of agricultural labour. Of course, once the working classes went into factories and coal mines, and their skins became white, then, of course, the middle and upper classes wanted brown skins. So,
because they wanted to be superior.
Yes, that's right.
If sunbathing was out, what was in? The Victorians amused themselves in all sorts of ways, from Punch and Judy on the beach to donkey rides. It was the perfect day out, and it would be some time before the Victorian day trip turned into the longer bucket and spade holidays, which eventually became the norm.
Wow. Michael, do you ever get to go to Eastbourne?